Hey, what's up, everybody? John here.
And Kelly.
At Delighted Acres Farm. And tonight we are having breakfast for dinner. And so Kelly is about to make some homemade biscuits. And she may tell you about those here in a second. I'm going to cook up some blue and gold sausage. And then we're going to compare some duck eggs that we got from our friends over at Wandering Grace Farm and some of our chicken eggs. We'll see what the difference is, what we like better, how they look, all the stuff, and we'll talk about it later. But so that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have dinner. It's gonna be good. So you guys enjoy.
So I'm gonna introduce my biscuit recipe to you, which it's not something I came up with myself. I have made biscuits in the past that were edible. They were good, decent, but nothing just to like, I don't know what to say, but like nothing that was super spectacular that I'm like, oh my gosh, these are amazing biscuits. Well, a couple years ago, I was watching a video from Jess Sowards of Roots and Refuge Farm, and she was showing how she made her biscuits. And it was really simple, and so I tried it, and it has become my absolute favorite biscuit recipe. They always come out fluffy and light and crispy on the outside, and just amazing. So that's what I'm making tonight. We're probably not going to show, this is not a tutorial on making biscuits, so we're not going to show like every step of it, but we'll show you some of the process of making biscuits.
Barry, you want to cook?
A little more than a teaspoon, whatever.
That is not regular salt. That is Redmond's mineral?
It's sea salt. It's
Sea salt.
Redmond's.
Redmond's sea salt.
Or I think they call it Redmond's real salt,
Okay.
but it is a sea salt.
It's not regular table salt. Mix the dry ingredients all up.
Yeah. So just a little recap. Basically, when you're doing biscuits, it's a little bit like making pastry dough, if you ever have made pastries, but you mix all your dry ingredients together and then you cut in cold butter. It's important that it's cold. And so as you saw there, I just cubed it up in relatively small chunks, and then you cut it in. I find it a lot easier to do with a pastry cutter like this, but some people can do it with like knives or whatever. You don't really want to do that part with your hands because you want the butter to stay as cold as possible. That's part of what makes flaky biscuits. So that looks pretty good. You do it until the butter is kind of crumbly. The dough is kind of crumbly with the butter chunks in it. All mixed up there. And then the next part is you mix in your buttermilk. We do not keep buttermilk around. We don't have a cow. So, and I don't buy buttermilk because we only use it for a handful of things like biscuits. But so I use the cheater method of doing buttermilk, which is basically you add lemon juice to regular milk and it kind of curdles the milk a little bit. and it gives it that tanginess, which is what you want from buttermilk. So this is actually a cup and a tablespoon of 2% milk, and then a tablespoon of lemon juice. And I usually do that part first and let it sit, because you want it to sit for a few minutes and kind of curdle and get that acidity into the milk. So the next part of this, once you mix up all your dry ingredients and you cut in your butter, then you want to add your buttermilk to it. And then this next part, we're going to mix it all up, and I like to do that by hand. You don't have to, but I just prefer to do it by hand. There's some things like that in cooking that you just got to get in there and do it. And so that's what I'm going to do right now. You just want to mix it up till it's all good and incorporated. Plus, it's more fun when you mix things by hand. And if you have kids, if you have littles around and you're showing them how to cook, they would love this. So
this is like adult Play-Doh.
You just want to get everything good and incorporated. And it does get a little sticky on your fingers, but that's okay. I just kind of put it all back in there. Okay, that looks pretty good for now. I need some flour. Okay, so thank you, sweetie.
Helper off camera.
Thank you, helper off camera, also known as husband. So the next part here, we got this pretty good and mixed together, and then you're going to take some flour and sprinkle it onto your work surface, a clean work surface. I'm going to hold on to some of that, and then you take the dough and then kind of press it down to about 3/4 of an inch or so thick. Then you just fold it over. Do that again, and then fold it over again. And I believe this is one of the tricks to it as well, is you are kind of folding that butter into layers, and so that's another thing that helps get the fluffiness. And you just do that a few times. Just press it flat, fold it over. What you want to do is flatten it even more. I go to maybe between 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch flat. Okay, and then you get you a biscuit cutter. I have this little cookie cutter. You can use like a mason jar ring or even a mason jar itself, but I have found that I prefer something that has this is not sharp in that it will cut you, but like a sharper edge than a mason jar. But if that's what you have, then use that. The important thing when you are cutting biscuits is that you go straight down and up. Don't twist it. Don't do anything else. You just go straight down to the counter and then back up. I also like to get a little bit of flour on my cutter. And one of the reasons that you go straight down and back up is because if you twist it, it kind of seals the edge of the biscuit and it won't puff up as much. So that's another little trick there, is just make sure you go down and up. And then just as I'm doing those, I put them in my cast iron skillet that I have greased with butter. And this recipe will make usually around 12 biscuits, sometimes a little more, a little less, depending on how big I make them. And I just get them all in. I think this is a 12-inch skillet. If you have a smaller, that's fine. You just might need more than one skillet. And I also have made these in just like a regular aluminum baking pan before, but I like them better in the cast iron skillet. I think that helps it become crispy on the outside. So once you have, I couldn't cut any more out of that, so then you just take your dough and kind of mush it back together. So it is sticking to itself again. And then you press it out flat again. Okay. 9. This will probably be about 12. Let me see if I can get at least 2 more out of this, maybe 3. And once you get down to that last one, then you don't necessarily need the cutter. I just make it into a little round biscuit shape.
It's a fairy biscuit.
Yeah, that one's pretty small. It is going to be small compared to the others, but that's okay. Okay, so there's all the biscuits in the pan, and now I'm going to wash my hands real quick, and then these will go into the oven at, 425 degrees for 18 to 20 minutes. So I almost forgot the most important part before putting this into the oven. You actually want to put some melted butter on the top of the biscuits. So I have about 2 tablespoons of melted butter, and I have a little brush that I put it on with. If you don't have a brush, you could do a spoon, or you could just drizzle it on top. But basically, to me, this is another one of the secrets to making a good biscuit, because this is what makes it get crispy on top. So you just brush it all on there.
And a couple of these biscuits by themselves could be a meal.
Yeah.
They're so good.
They are really good. So thank you, Jess Sowards, for sharing your biscuit recipe. Because I'm so excited that I can make homemade biscuits now that are just amazing. Okay, almost done there. The last little bit.
Perfect.
Okay, now it's going in the oven.
Ooh. See you in 20 minutes, biscuits. Now that Kelly has the biscuits started and in the oven, I'm going to go ahead and take care of the sausage. And like I said, it is blue and gold blue and gold sausage, and it is here in Oklahoma. It's an Oklahoma sausage. It's made in Jones, which is closer to the city than we are. And schools here in the state, like the ag program, FFA, I'm 4-H maybe. So basically the ag type programs, they use blue and gold. So here you go. Blue and gold sausage. They use blue and gold as fundraisers, and so different times of the year you can buy blue and gold sausage from one of the members of the ag program, and they use the money then for the program and whatnot. And so It is my favorite as far as the spices and the blend and all that stuff that they have. And so we have a number of sticks. They're 2.5 pounds, where, you know, typically you're getting like a 1 pound stick at the grocery store. I think they're 2.5. Yep. 2.5. Can you read it? Take my word for it. It's 2.5 pounds. And so, like I said, it's my favorite. I'm gonna go ahead and start my stove, because I want to make sure this is getting hot while I'm cutting up the sausage, and hopefully I can cut it so that it all fit. That's typically, yeah, I don't know, we'll see, because that's my biggest skillet. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, I'm gonna cut this up real quick. So I took this out of the freezer a little bit earlier so it would start to thaw out some. It is still frozen in the middle. Sorry. And the way I like to do it, I don't like it to get completely thawed out. Because when it gets completely thawed out, it doesn't hold its shape and form as well. If it's still solid in the middle, I can slice it and it holds its form. I leave it in the plastic, and I cut through the plastic and cut my slices, and then they just pop out of the plastic. And so that is the way I do it. You don't have to do it that way if you don't want to. Yeah, it's already starting to thaw through the middle, and typically I make these a little thicker than I would on the smaller rolls. Yeah, I can feel it. So you can't tell probably, but that's pretty solid, pretty firm anyway. And so, oh, that's not going to get done in the middle of the burn on the edges. It doesn't, because as it cooks, the heat comes up through this, and they're thin. So they're thin enough, it's not going to be a problem. I like to do the same thing with frozen hamburger patties on the grill. And most fast food burger places, they're frozen patties that they throw on the grill. And so that's what I like to do. Once it starts to heat up from one side, that heat permeates through it pretty quickly, thaws it out, kind of helps steam it from the inside and whatnot. So yeah, this is going to be too much for one batch, but I will do 2 batches, get it all cooked up. Oh, I know what I use. All right, so usually we cut half, put the other half back in the fridge, and do the other half some other time. But I'm gonna go ahead and do the whole thing so that we have leftover sausage, because we're gonna have leftover biscuits and whatnot. So the ends are thawed out, the rest are not. So, all right. Got my knife cleaned off a little bit. Helps with the cleanup later. Okay. All right, so I am going to bring this over to my skillet, throw it in, and get started cooking. Like I said, the end piece is already thawed, so I'm going to put it more around the outside edge, just because it's further from the central heat. And doing this on the smaller burner, just because the big burner, it's just not working for us right now. Here a while back, it did a little pop sizzle thing, and we thought, well, maybe we shouldn't use that one anymore until we can get that replaced. So like I said, I'm just popping this out of the plastic. It goes right in there. I have my heat set on fry like 5.5, so it's not overly hot, and it will cook at a little slower pace. So I'll be close to getting all of this in there. Maybe I will. All right. Probably just not quite. I'm gonna have maybe one too many. Just have to move them around as they cook because they will get smaller. They will get softer. When they get softer, they will squish a little bit. So yeah, got this little end that will fit. Oh, nope. All right, I'm gonna have to leave that. So that will leave us with 2 that I can shove in there a little bit later. All right, so there we go. We got some blue and gold sausage started. Getting close. Duck eggs from Wandering Grace Farm. So here's a little comparison. So these eggs that are whiter here are the duck eggs, and then these are the eggs from our chickens. Well, the duck eggs here are just a little bit, they're bigger, of course, you can tell, but Lori over at Wandering Grace, when she gave us the eggs, said that these were some of the smaller duck eggs that they have, and so a lot of times your duck eggs are going to be even that much bigger than chicken eggs. And so there is a difference that we noticed when we cooked the first duck eggs. The yolks are bigger and the whites are less than in a chicken egg. But we're going to do a little bit comparison here in just a couple minutes. It's to show side by side what they look like whenever they are cracked open. So, yum. Are they ready?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
So you want them to be a little bit golden on top. Those could have probably gone back in for another minute or two, but they're definitely done, so.
All right. So those are going to be real good whenever we get the sausage done and get the eggs cooked. Do y'all have a favorite condiment for your biscuits? We've got some apple butter, some frog jam, and some strawberry fruit spread. And so, what is your favorite to go with biscuits? So I decided I'd go ahead and put the lid on here, trap in that heat, and help cook it a little faster. So I'm gonna make a mess before I'm done. We'll go ahead and turn this over. Alright, now they're softening a little bit, and I've got room to put my other ones in here. Alright, like that. Alright, let's see it.
that's the duck egg. And then this is going to be a chicken egg, so you can see them side by side. I don't have my mic on. See?
All right. Well, can you guys see that? I mean, it's easy for us to see.
It's a lot bigger than that one. So.
But the chicken egg has more white, more egg white than the duck egg.
So one of the things that Lori said is that she likes to use, she does a lot of baking, and she likes to use the duck eggs for baking. And I can see why, because I'm sure that more of the yolk gives baked goods a lot richer flavor. So, but yeah, there you go.
Awesome. There you go. Duck versus egg.
Chicken.
Duck, yeah.
Versus chicken.
Duck versus chicken. Eggs.
Duck versus egg.
Duck versus egg.
There's no reason I don't separate it.
So we are going to just scramble them up and eat them together. We already ate one of the duck eggs previously, and so we know what it tastes like, and it's really good. But that big yolk. And we're gonna have a little bit of decaf coffee tonight. Whenever we're busy in the kitchen, Bear doesn't like to be left out, so he wants to be right underfoot. We always have to tell him to lay down or go in the other room. But I don't want to be left out. All right. A bit of half and half. So just to let you guys know, Wandering Grace Farm, they are located about 5 miles from us, and so they are local to us. They are Jason and Lori. They have 2 boys, and Jason is he's a veteran, and Lori, her mom actually was probably my first babysitter after I was born, and so I've known Lori my whole life. She and Jason are younger than us a little bit, and so I have known her my whole life. I knew him a little bit right before they got married, but they have been all over the place whenever he was in the military, and so they have settled here locally, and so they are around, but they are very active. Lori is very active with baking and doing things like that. Jason does a lot outside with the garden, and they're going to have a huge garden this year. I think it's like, I want to say it's like 200 feet by 50 feet, something like that. So it's going to be big. So you guys go check them out, and I would really appreciate that if you would do that. And they are on they're on YouTube. They're also on Facebook. They have a larger showing on Facebook, but they're also on YouTube. Go check them out. Tell them that I said hi, and so that's where we got the duck eggs. All right, there's our breakfast for dinner. Our blue and gold sausage, our duck and chicken eggs, and our homemade biscuits. Show me that flakiness.
See, look at
how it's in layers. Look at that.
How layered and flaky those come out. So that's some good. It's gonna be good. You guys, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like the video, hit like for me, subscribe if you're not subscribed, and yeah, you guys have a great rest of your day, whatever day it is you're watching this. I'll see you on the next video.